Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Before we even get started here, I just want to give honor and grace to our master teachers, um, Dr. Ben, as well as Dr. Henry Clark. I know Dr. Ben's birthday, I believe, was on the 31st, and Dr. John Henry Clark's birthday was on the 1st. So, honor and grace to our master teachers who have sacrificed a lot of their well being to inform, educate, and empower Black people, not just in America, but those Black people who reside around the world. Um, there should be a switch. There should be a change here in 2024. I'm not necessarily a person who makes New Year's resolutions because anytime new information, new motivations come my way, I tend to change immediately, or I try to at least be on the path of making that change, right? And sometimes that change, doesn't really happen, but I don't try to restart it or reboot it in 2024 or the next year. I'm just not a person who have tend to make New Year's resolution like that one decision because there's a new year, there should be new things. No, you should be on your purpose. You should have a mission. You should have a plan. There's things that come along when you are in the presence of people outside of your regular friends, people who are more on purpose or business or family, whatever it may be. There may be a lot of things that we can definitely focus on because it's a new year, and not to say that's your resolution, but put things more in a focus. Like if you was trying to start a business, be more intentful, be more purposely, be more relentless about building your business. If you was trying to build bonds with family, then make that essentially your goal and achievement. All of the above. All of the above. I just think that it's important that we don't necessarily make all of these new goals simply because of new year. Hopefully those goals have always been a thing. And what we're going to do here, we're just going to look at some videos that I did last year. We're going to talk about very few of them. We're going to talk about very, very few of them, because a lot of these videos of Black empowerment, awakening self-awareness, and these different series, I navigated through a journey of self-discovery, not only about ourselves, about our history, about our past, about our present, and our potential future, trying to explore the significance of self-awareness for Black people in America and those who reside around the world. Because we understand that the world itself poses its own different narratives and perspectives about Black folk. And sometimes there are some Black folk that perpetuate those stereotypes and negative narratives towards us as well. But we cannot let those things be a distraction. We cannot let those things deflect us from our own personal goals, okay? Because I was looking at a lot of our master teachers before we kind of do this review. I was looking at a lot of our master teachers, whether it be Dr. Cress Welsing, John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Neely Fuller. Unfortunately, a lot of our master teachers died in debt. A lot of our master teachers, they, died with no significant um, a dollar amount to solidify the hard work they put in. Now, granted, they didn't do it for the money, because if they did it for the money, they wouldn't be doing it. Because there's really no money in educating your people about themselves and empowering them to do better. There's really no money in it, right? There's a lot of things that can be monetized, but simply stating a message beyond YouTube or any other platform, there's no money in it. There's no money in it. And I understand that people should be building business, all the information and all the hard work they put into something. Whether it be building a business under the YouTube brand or building certain business branching off from YouTube, merchandise, products, services, etc. I do believe in that, because there's a lot of people in the Black empowerment space that's giving you information still working 9-to-5 jobs. And looking at our master teachers, they sacrificed their lives to empower our people. Even after the many assassinations of pertinent people, also within pertinent groups like the Black Panther Party. And we already know a lot of our greats who were either killed by government agencies, were assassinated by government agencies, were set up by government agencies. Government agencies sent agents to tear and collapse those organizations down within. So we know all of these things, but that doesn't mean that empowerment stops. That just means that people within the space need to learn how to um, branch off and do either different things or monetize the things that they're doing now. Okay. But that doesn't water down the message because you're trying to make a way of living and informing your people. I think that's where we kind of get it wrong at, because it's a two-sided argument that I've noticed all of last year as I was studying and researching, and a lot of the videos that were coming out about people who were simply trying to monetize their Black empowerment to the people, which they call them grifters and call them things of that nature. The only thing I have is probably some t-shirts that nobody really buys, but it's not a big deal to me, right? I would like people to buy them. It'd be cool to have your own t-shirts out there, but hey, I'm wearing it my damn self. It's no big deal. But I think for me, it's a passion, it's a heart. And so I know that I can do things on the side to bring in substantial money to suffice my family and I, right? So I don't really look for the bag off of YouTube, okay? Because at one point in time before YouTube changed the algorithms, I was getting a little bag, but they changed the algorithms. I don't know what the hell happened. Now I'm just getting some penny candy sort of money. But anyway, that was my little rant. But yeah, we stayed on purpose last year. I threw in some wingers, like this particular one where I kind of reviewed some gold digging videos. And these videos here, family, was not to denigrate our beautiful Black women, but just as women during this particular year, just as women were doing this particular year, once again, in my opinion, all of this in some form or fashion, I must admit, have to come to the conclusion that it's divisive. Okay. When it comes to Black women and Black men, we are the most excited. We're the most promoted. We're the most projecting figures in the world, but especially here in the U.S., because the U.S. is pretty much the leaders of the world when it comes to media and influence, and we are at the face of that. When I look at and I take in tons of information, and all last year, believe it or not, I was doing research of the majority of the conversations that was expositive throughout America. There was basically three main ones. There was, other than the conflicts in Ukraine and Russia, Israel, Hamas, Palestine, a majority of these conversations that occurred in 2023 was relationship based. They were based upon relationship. A lot of the conversations on the internet, a vast majority. I mean, without Mr. Beast videos, people probably wouldn't get any other entertainment, but except for clips and videos of hundreds of channels talking about relationships. And let me tell you, a majority of these channels were led by Black people, not just Black Americans, but Black people that are here in America. They were led by Black people. Yeah, there was a couple of shows. You got your Fresh and Fits that had, other, non-melanated women on there, non-Black women on there. But for the most part, most of these shows, most of these clips, most of these videos had Black people talking about relationship. And majority of these videos from my, research were negative. In some sort of way, they have some sort of negative connotation. The women talking about the men talking about the women talking that she wants this particular man, or these men aren't doing what they're supposed to do, or I don't feel safe around Black men, or agreeing with white supremacist narratives that Black men are degenerate, baby daddies and criminals, okay, and stupid, all those things. So majority, not all, majority of the videos were very, very divisive. And I'm just looking at the audience, okay? Of course, there's Black people in the audience, but there's a lot of white people in the audience as well. There was a lot of Hispanics people in these spaces as well. And they were just listening. They were just listening at the deterioration of Black people, to the point where here in the last month or two, all of a sudden, Thomas Sowell and people within that camp and people within a white supremacist perspective of black people was stating that black culture was the problem. Now, again, they use these excite words, they use these phrases to shape a narrative, to push an agenda. And what this only does, believe it or not, family, hopefully you can understand where I'm going with this. Anytime they push that narrative, that black culture, and again, that is a euphemism of black people, just like woke was, is that black people are going to be, we're going to be in a sort of danger. And I don't just mean physical harm, but I mean when it comes to within the social society, as well as in your employment, based upon your job and your career, and even people who are doing personal business, who own their own businesses, especially when you make such a broad topic stating that the problems in America, because they just said black culture is the problem. What does that mean? Black culture within black people is the problem, or black culture in America is the problem? And we have all these race separating divisive terms. Now, if we understand black culture, then black culture is American culture. White culture is American culture, the two main racial groups that built and expanded America. Now, we know that black Americans, we built majority of America, especially the foundation. But when you add on to the Europeans and those immigrants that came over, they're amalgamating into what we call Americans today. Then black and white people built America and expanded America and innovated America, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now we're stating that black culture is the problem. Then I was looking at videos of black men either talk at or talk down to black women. Now, some of these videos did have some positivities on both sides, black women and black men. They did. They really had some good messages every now and again. But majority of the messages were very negative, even to black men, basically telling black women what they want, but in a manner that was degrading, in my opinion, right? Again, it's okay to tell the other species, the other gender, what you prefer. But I think there's always a delivery method that needs to be harnessed, that needs to be cultivated, that need to be nurtured for people to accept that information. Because as I hear these things in a way that we speak to one another, black women think black men are the problem, and black men think black women are the problem. But no one is really looking at, how did we get here? I want you to think about something. I want you to think about, you end up in a shed in South Dakota. You wake up one day and you are now living or staying in a shed in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. You go outside your little cabin door and there's just trees and grass. Okay, it is just trees and grass. So when I look at these things, no one is looking at how black people got to the point we are now, right? And again, I know some people would like to believe, oh, you're just going to call out slavery, you're going to call out Jim Crow, you're going to call out this, you're going to call out that. All those are pertinent. All those are significant reasons. But have we caused some harm to ourselves? Absolutely. That's the human race in general. That's been Homo sapiens in general. But to simply say that all of a sudden black people became these very demonstrous, humanistic, evil and devilish figures of humanity and society would be asinine to come to that conclusion without understanding, how did they get there? How did they get there? Because everybody else, when we look at other groups, they can be repaired. As I stated in one of my last videos of December, that Germany is still paying Jewish Holocaust in their heirs and their descendants cash payment reparations. America for over, I think it was maybe anywhere from 60 to 100 years, have been paying Native Americans reparations. And I want to put this projection inside your head. I'm not going to go into the Native Americans who were actually tracking and capturing slaves for white people. I'm not going to point that out because that wasn't all Native Americans. That wasn't all Native tribe. But this is what I want you to understand. The Native Americans that they show us in media, that you have a picture of white, sort of reddish, uh, Mongolian type looking Native Americans. I want you to understand this. The pilgrims, the white supremacists came over here and hooked and crooked, gave them diseases, killed them off, whatever, to steal their land. Now, once they stole their land, of course, they had a lot of conflicts with, the so-called cowboys and Indians, but, the law enforcement of America and the Native Americans who land, they were trying to overtake. Now, once everything settled down, they signed a bunch of treaties. Okay, I'm fast forwarding here. They signed a lot of treaties where Native Americans can have a piece of land throughout the United States where their tribes can reside. And they started to receive federal funding, and they didn't have to pay taxes. As a matter of fact, they didn't have to do anything. Now, I'm not stating that all the reservations around America are luxurious and have everything, essentially everything they need, but I will say this, all of them are federally funded. There's over 500 federally recognized tribes that receive a budget through the Bureau Indian Affairs Association, or that government entity that allocates this money and pass out this money to these different tribes and to these different people. And some people tell you, oh, they don't get free housing. Yes, they do. They do. They don't have to pay for housing. And they get monthly stipends. And that's just the beginning of the amount of benefits. And believe me, they should be getting all of that. But now I want you to think, and also let me point out, at one point in time through those wars, they were trying to genocide the Native Americans, right? Get rid of all of them. Somehow they came to the conclusion that was inhumane. Oh, wow. Good job, white supremacists. But my point is this. Some of our ancestors were already here during that time as well. And then those who came over in ships. Not only were we trying to be genocide, but in a sense, working us to death. What I mean is that they never wanted to kill off their property, but through the way they were doing it, it was just really killing off generations and generations of Black people, because our life expectancy was around 35, 40, okay, depending. So we were dying at a very high rate, but they ensured they had these baby making mills where they would have, the big buck men out there, big and strong, trying to have babies with their mamas and babies with their daughters, so they can keep having slaves come in day in and day out. Okay, meaning they was just having a rapid amount of free labor, and hey, for infinity when you really think about it. So we cannot focus on these gender topics. That's what I'm getting at. We cannot focus on these gender topics because these gender topics deflect us and distract us from our true goal. And that's building together. Building together as Black people, building together as Black female and male. And here's my thing. I'm not stating that you can't have white friends. I'm no one's telling you what to do with your life. But the one thing I'm understanding is this: majority of white women and white men, they get along from what I can see for the majority of part, or at least they don't show it on social media as much as we do. And granted, we're only 50 million strong at 15%. They're 60% strong. So they should have 3 times the more content on the same topics that we have, but we don't. We're focused on things that don't bring us anything. That's time wasting. That's time wasting. Focusing on relationship is, in my opinion, family, is time wasting. Instead of all the differences, all the negative things that we can say about one another, what are the good things? What about the encouragement? But I realized that the negative content gets more clicked than the positive ones. Because you'll have these circles, you'll have these silos of groups that just feed off this energy. right? Would it be toxic masculinity or toxic sisterhood, right? Because case in point, you will have women to prop up themselves with another sister about a situation with her and her man, and they will encourage one another with so much toxicity that that woman will leave her man, then realize afterwards that was really a good man. It happens. And I just think that all of this needs to turn in a very positive manner and start to encouraging ourselves to be with one another, live with one another, and all this settling and this, that, it's not about settling. I'm telling you, family, it's about surviving. It's about striving for success. It's about thriving. So all of this settling, if you make if she makes $100,000 and you make $40,000, if she likes you, so here's what I'm getting at, man. If she's making $100,000 and you're making $40,000, together you guys are making $140,000. But even men and women are telling men that you should make X amount of dollars if you want to have a wife. You should make X amount of dollars if you want to have children. I don't know where this is coming from. These are a lot of traditional things, but maybe I'm not so much traditional. I believe in you and your woman as a team. You and your woman is a partnership. You and your woman is a business. So you're working together. You're working together because not every man has the mind of business. Not every woman has the mind of staying at home nurturing. Now, majority of the population or majority of what I've noticed, that seems to be the thing. Men are more about business, women are more about nurturing, but the way modernization and the sister movement, the women's suffrage, you name it, have changed things to empower women to be part of business and the hierarchy of corporate America, which is fine. That's just where we are right now. Women want to go out and do things, and so they shall. But I don't like that women, believe it or not, this is a true statistic, family. Women own the most, black women own the most houses in comparison to black men. Black women home ownership is, I think, 2 to 3 times more than black men when we're talking about being single. So that goes to show you something. And instead of black men empowering black men, instead of black women empowering black men, instead of black women empowering black women, which I believe on some accord they do because of that so-called sisterhood, we would rather speak down to those black men negatively. And we always speaking at people as though they know the right thing because the internet is available. They know the right thing because these things are public. And I was just having this conversation with my wife the other day. Growing up in DC, I felt like I lived in a bubble. I really felt like I lived in a bubble that no new information and experience was received living in DC. Rarely did I ever go outside the DMV area. So my experiences were very small. My outlook was very feeble. The way I thought about things was very convoluted. So when I think about these things, family, I'm not giving people in low impoverished areas, ghettos, hoods, etc., excuses. I'm just giving you their reality. Okay? But yeah, I just hope that we can switch from the whole gender divide and divisive conversations and think more so about empowering ourselves and empower other people. Okay? That's what I wish that could essentially happen. Now, last year, we did a lot of videos, of course, in Black empowerment information. I think some of these you guys should really check out, like the thoughts and mind of a white supremacist. I thought that was very insightful. White America's wake up call, stay woke. This was talking about immigration and how immigration is now affecting white people. And not is not only affecting black people, but it's affecting white people as well. And I think a lot of these videos that I put together for you guys last year, if you didn't see them, go back. Some were entertaining, some were very informative. Um, like this one right here, guns are not the problem. Anti-black racism is. Guns is not the problem. Anti-black racism is. Okay. A lot of these videos was unveiling racial disparities in politics. That was the gist of majority of the videos. The different videos that I have dissected the complex, entire web of racial disparities within the political landscape. Because through these videos were in-depth analysis of policies, elections, and systematic issues. And I wanted you guys to gain a comprehensive understanding of how politics impact black people, how politics truly impact us. That's what I wanted you guys to essentially gain. Because through empowerment, is not trying to conjecturize myself to form your own narrative, to give you my perspective where I'm projecting that, but to kind of open your mind to a different perspective so you can essentially piggyback off of that and maybe learn something new. I believe these things are important because these discussions, these videos emphasize the urgency for change and for civic engagement. That's what these are about. Okay. That's what these videos are about. And again, I encourage you, if you haven't seen some of them, especially a lot of my lives, and I do apologize. Some of these later ones here were sound, I had some sound issues. I do apologize for that. I'm trying to take up a new leaf in 2024 and not hit the mic button while I'm speaking. Also, a lot of these, which you'll notice, is talking about the debt of reparations, because that's what it is, the debt of reparations. And I had my sister on here, Pamela Denise Long. Very good conversations with her. But a lot of these videos from last year had to do with the debt of reparations. The different videos, believe it, tackle the controversial yet crucial topics of reparations. Because what I did here, by diving into historical injustices that have disproportionately affected us throughout history. Now, the videos, in my opinion, made a compelling case for reparations as a mean of acknowledging and rectifying the enduring impact of systematic injustices that was imposed by the government on a state and federal level. And a lot of these other ones here were referencing protecting our own, Black Americans as a protected class. Protecting our own, how we are the face of every single thing that's negative in America. Like they had all of these Black guys who I guess were dealing in fentanyl, but we essentially know who the face of fentanyl is. But I had to point those things out, and we have to combat each and every lie of this white supremacy nation. Because as foundational Black Americans, U.S. freedmen, we have to let people know that the way that this government shapes the perceptions and minds of people is to basically keep Black people exactly where they are. Also breaking down the unraveling Biden's voting support. I think they were going to, again, try to fool Black people. But one thing that they didn't plan on is social media at the rate that it's taken off and the influence that social media have. Because a lot of these, I was, focusing on the alarming rise of white supremacists and hate crimes in the white supremacist society when it comes towards Black Americans. And in these different videos, we have to advocate for the recognitions of Black Americans as a protected class. We have to advocate for those things. we have to advocate for a protected class just like Asian Americans. In these videos, I was trying to shed a lot of light on the urgency of safeguarding Black communities against hate-fueled violence and most importantly, highlighting the importance of legal protections for Black individuals. It's crazy to me that everybody else has some sort of protections. Native Americans are federally protected. Jewish Americans or Jews who reside here in America are federally protected. Asian Americans are federally protected. They became federally protected in 2019 with COVID, or excuse me, 2020 with COVID-19. But nonetheless, we're the only group of people who they label as a minority who doesn't have some sort of benefit, resource, and or protection. Now, in this new year, family, we let me tell you something. Because the internet is so vast, because the internet is so broad, we should definitely be finding out different ways to make money. I was on my brother's Marcel Dixon's Twitter page, and he was talking to another gentleman about the amount of money that Black Americans spend. I believe he was talking to either Umar Johnson or Boyce Watkins. I don't know who he was talking to. I don't care, right? I try not to get into those divisive back and forths. And I hate to say, because when you have all these very intelligent Black men, they're like, okay, so your intelligent Black men are verbally fighting and your low-brow Black men are physically fighting. Who's not fighting? But in my opinion, intellectual people, philosophers, they're always debating, right? But there's a lot of things that these brothers do agree on, okay? They all agree on Black empowerment, reparations, protected class, but they have their differences. I digress. But I was looking at these numbers because a lot of times spending $1.6 trillion, more than the GDP of Mexico, will have people very alarmed of what this group of people are spending their money on. Black Americans spent $1.6 trillion last year, which is more than the GDP of Mexico. Yeah. Black Americans did that. And you would like to believe that Black Americans went out and bought Lambos, they bought Ferraris, they bought Porsche, they bought McLarens, they bought supercars, they bought super luxury houses. But when we look at these statistics here, and you kind of see the color coding, that we spent majority of our money on housing. And believe it or not, majority of that money was spent on renting, not owning. It was spent on renting, not owning. And then secondly was transportation, okay? Gas, maintenance, all of those things, public transportation, etc. Then next was food. And then the fourth, let's see what colors that is. Personal pension and insurance, and then healthcare. So there's another pie chart down here, okay? Average household expenditures by Black households in the United States from 2010 to 2012. Majority of our money, again, went on housing. A majority of our money went on housing, and then I'm looking at, it says food. Don't get this mixed up with tobacco and smoking supplies. Total was food and housing, and then third was transportation. So the way we spend our money has not changed. The way we spend our money has not changed. So a lot of people think that we're just going out blowing money on Louis, Fendi, Birkin bag. I don't know, all this expensive bullshit. There's some few Black Americans out there that can afford those things. But most of us are spending on housing, and especially, unfortunately, there's a high rate of us who are renting. Secondly is food. Now, this can be greatly decreased by eating at home. I'm pretty sure this is eating out a lot and not cooking your own food, thus leads into us living unhealthy, etc., high sodium, high blood pressure, diabetes. You know, the list goes on and on. And then thirdly, transportation. Okay, I don't know if that's just dealing with gas or public transit or cars, all of the above. But yeah, we could talk about the disparities in some of the choices we make, even in housing, transportation, and food. But look where our money is going. Now, you see, when we come to education, is a very low amount. Reading, believe it or not, actually surprised me about the amount of money that we spend on reading. Entertainment, I thought this would be, I'm sorry, the gray one is entertainment and the blue one is healthcare. But I thought entertainment would be a lot bigger than this. What else do we have? Okay, yeah, I thought, yeah, here's reading, here's personal care. Yeah, but this was very intriguing. It's very interesting. And then cash contributions, what needs to really go up. I see I have my brother K-Dub in here. Happy New Year to you, Jermaine Anderson. Happy New Year to you as well, sir. We have Gibbs up in the room. Happy New Year to you. I'm getting tongue twisted here. But yeah, there's a really lot to look at when it comes to this, because the division between all of our beliefs, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the division of all of our belief systems, right? Whether it be religious, social, or gender. We have all these beliefs. We have all these conversations. We have all these issues dealing with these certain amount of things, okay? We have all these issues dealing with these certain amount of things. Gender divide in those conversations, religious in those conversations, social in those conversations. We continue to have all these conversations that is time wasting. I say it again, they are time wasting. If we're not talking about business, then are we talking about vacation? If we're not talking about business, are we talking about vacation? If we're not talking about vacation, are we talking about family? I really want you thinking about that. Not what the woman should do, not what the man should do. Here's the thing, men. Here's a quick solution. If we stop giving energy to women who twerk on ambulances, if we stop giving attention to women who twerk at slave castles, then those women will stop, or those women will be single. Don't forget, women outnumber men 2 to 3 to 1. So there's always someone different. See, if we don't give attention to it, then they won't do it. They'll be doing it for their sister girl, and then everybody's gonna get tired of being lonely. We have to start worrying about ourselves and building for ourselves. The right woman to come along as you're building. And if you're already at a stage where you have built things, then you focusing on family, you're focusing on production, you're focused on vacation. Because after family, business, what else is there? Enjoy your life. Enjoy the life that you built for yourself. See, that's where I'm at. These divisive conversations that we're having, that is time wasting and deflecting from the real goal. I just believe there's maybe 2 or 3 directions that we should go. One, Black empowerment. That helps all Black Americans. Black empowerment. Whether it be your financial contributions, whether it be your verbal contributions, whether it be your silence, right? Not speaking out against topics like reparations, not speaking out against topics like education, or topics like being a protected class, topics like wiping away qualified immunities, topics like police brutality, if you believe in such a thing, and you know who's going to mostly affect. Black empowerment. That should be one direction we should go. Number 2, all of the conversations that we have, whether it be gender, religion, or any of these social organizations and or groups, to stop having them. Focus on business, focus on building, focus on networking with one another. And here's the thing, what I've noticed. Why is negative energy more powerful than positive energy? Why is negative energy more positive than why is negative energy stronger than positive energy? And again, I'm trying not to lay out excuses, but again, I'm a man of purpose, and I understand how things transpire. The reason why negative energy is stronger than positive energy is because, unfortunately, a lot of us have trauma. We have things that occur to us in our childhood, in our adolescence, in our teenage years, in the early beginnings of your career that has damaged the way that you receive and perceive information, thus your response. And I'll leave it at that. But since we are conscious of those things, and we can break those things down and pontificate about them, and if we can do those things, we can come up with solutions, right? Can 2024 be a year of solutions instead of the problem? Can 2024, for those who dive in, make millions of dollars off of speaking about the gender divide, about men, about women, about relationship, can we somehow now come up with solutions of the problem? Because we keep talking about the problem. We keep talking about the problem. We keep talking, men are keep talking about women. Women are keep talking about men. Men are keep talking about men about women, and vice versa. Can we come up with a solution? Is that possible? Is that going to get click and views? If so, then that's what we need. Yeah, I want to click on a couple of videos to speak about a black man loving a black woman and how he's going to gain her trust, her integrity, and her heart. Yeah, I want to click on a video where a black woman is speaking about a black man in a positive manner and how she's going to help and support him or be his partner and or mate. That's what I want to see in 2024. Can we do that? Can we not tune in to those negative videos and or negative conversations? Can we tune them out for positivity? Since black people are so goddamn bad, can we just start changing our own narrative? Can we start to change our own narrative? We have the power what the world sees. We have the power of what the world sees. Now, unfortunately, and this is just being the truth, the 1%, we're not going to change the 1%. No. We're not going to change the 1% of degenerate people within our society. Does they have degenerate and lowbrow people in white society, Hispanic society, Asian society, and otherwise? Yeah, you're not going to change that. But we can definitely change the image of prominent black folk who is out there being a successful civilian of society, meaning that you are producing or you're servicing something or producing something. But we can do that in partnership with our black women. Far too long, I understand that black men have not been in the household for various reasons. I'm not going to go out and just blame it all on mass incarceration. That's a large part of it, but that's not the only one. There's many reasons that black men put upon themselves and many reasons that the black women put on black men. But again, what's the purpose of talking about them if we already know them? We continue to have the same conversations. So black empowerment and gender. And then lastly, the one thing we should not be talking about that we should be coming up with solutions with is all of the damn religious shit. No. I'm not talking about religion is bad. I'm not talking about religion is bad. I'm just talking about all the different religious beliefs and religious groups and the evangelistic sort of way that they put out their message. Whether it be on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Clubhouse, Twitter, or Twitter Space, whatever. Can we just come to a common neutral ground that we can agree upon a couple of things and move out on that and not be demonstrous or divisive or negative towards our own people? Forget what everybody else is doing. Because here's the thing. Uh, Asians, they have their infighting. Yeah. The Indians probably fight with the Chinese. The Chinese probably fight with the Koreans. The Koreans probably fight with the Vietnamese. But guess who don't know? We don't know. We don't know if all these different ethnic groups of Asians are fighting or not, which I believe they are in some regards. They just don't put all of their shit on the internet. There's a little on the internet. They don't put all of it on the internet like we do about their differences. They're not a monolith. We're not a monolith. But we put all of our shit on the internet, and then we talk about all the shit on the internet because we're putting all the shit on the internet. That's the problem that we have. Now, I know that these conversations will happen. I'm just trying to encourage, not tell, us not to tune in. Because what is it doing for us? Oh, it's entertainment. Look what entertainment has gotten us. Now, they're coming out with news stories of non-Black people breaking into retail shops. Again, they made us the face of this retail crisis. I'm going to show you a story real quick as I'm leading out of here. And this is how it happened with fentanyl. And if they could throw that opioid crisis on Black people, they would have did that too. Now, you know what's funny about the retail crisis? And again, let me go back to this before I move on to something different. The monolithic issues that we have, we can keep those things alive and stay away from those conversations. And then the last point, religion, your belief system, how life first was started. What dimension are we in? Who's the true people of Israel? Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, the Christians, the Catholic, the Black Catholics, the Jews, the Muslims, whatever. Keep it to yourself. It's supposed to be your own personal journey, your own personal ascendance with your creator or who you believe your creator is. I realize we have been divided as a people so much that now people are trying to join people together, right? Based upon their beliefs. I want you guys to think about that. People are trying to bring you into the fold. People are trying to encourage you. People are trying to inform you that their organization, their religions, their belief is the right way to go. Why? Okay, I don't want to be saved. Now what? Oh no, I got to save you, brother. I got to save you. You should be a Moor. You should be a Hebrew Israelite. You should be a Christian. I'm trying to save you. What about this? We live in the country where our ancestors have built any possible negative, physical, psychological thing that can occur to a people have happened to us. How about you take your beliefs and I take my beliefs and we keep them personal and figure out how we can build together, how we can make our families better together, how we can really start living a better life for our people. Oh, and as a side note, okay, generational wealth, is it me or is it getting played out? I know I've said it too. It's okay. I'm just coming to a conclusion. Let's just stop talking about generational wealth. Just go out and do it. Whatever it is, whatever generational wealth is, just go out and do it. I got to build generational wealth. What is generational wealth? Well, I leave something for my kids. What you gonna leave? I got this gold chain I bought. Let's just go out and do generational wealth. But let's just table a lot of these religious conversations that would seem, and again, This is all about bringing us together to be stronger. And that's what they don't want us to do. They don't want us to come together to be stronger. They want us to keep having these gender divide conversations. They want us to have these religious conversations and these different belief conversations. That's what they want. But I notice if we deal on Black empowerment, that, yeah, we're not going to agree on everything, but there's a couple of things that we're going to agree on. We're going to be stronger than ever. Excuse me. I'm just looking at all these little things are popping up here as I'm trying to search for this information for you guys. What's going to happen with these retail crises is they're going to start killing people over clothes. They're going to start killing people over clothes, family. They're going to start having armed guards. And what's going to happen is someone's going to get shot. Someone is going to get killed, unfortunately. And people are going to stop. Or they're going to have, and I thought of this. I want you guys to stay with me here. In order for a way for a lot of these retail shoppings to stop, is to have agents dressed as regular customers all over the store. And when them people start smashing and grabbing, you have people to lock down the door in the front and the back, and you trap them in, you close in, and you incarcerate all of them. Now, they're talking about a lot of these retail things are causing racial divides. Please stop it. We've always been divided. How the retail industry is perpetuating racial inequality in the 21st century. And there's been a lot of stories coming out about Hispanics as well as white people doing a lot of these retail thefts as well, not just Black people. Black retail workers share the attributes of the overall retail workforce, but face worse outcomes. Like the overall retail workforce, the vast majority of Black retail workers are adults. More than half have some education after high school, and about 1/3 are working parents. Yet Black and Latino retail workers are more likely to be working poor, with 17% of Black and 13% of Latino retail workers living beyond the poverty line compared to 9% of the retail workforce overall. So there's just continue to talk about disparities in those things. And something I thought about is, the race relations between Black Americans and Black immigrants. Okay, there's been quite a bit of divisive talk there, and I think, and I could be biased because I'm Black American, right? I could be biased, but we're just kind of firing back at them. We really didn't initiate these conversations. We kind of point out some things that were occurring, but I really don't have a beef with any Black immigrant. I just focus on Black Americans. And I don't think that's divisive at all. I believe about the empowerment of my people. I think people get offended when you're not afraid of the white supremacist society and race soldiers, where you're still going to speak truth to power to people, and you're going to try to encourage, inform, and empower your own people. And I think some of them, and this is my conjecture, some of them just may not understand that because they come from a colonized state. They come from a colonized state where white people essentially ran their economy, ran their country. You see what I'm saying? So it's a different mindset, right? We've always been in the higher ups of government you can go back into the late 1800s, early 1900s, where there were Black congressmen. So we have a very, vast different history of how Africans were colonized in their own countries versus us being influenced by white culture in a state where they enslaved our people. Because somehow in this majority white country, Black folk has still created their culture built on the different mixes of enslaved Africans that were here. We've still built our own culture, which is very rich, which is very different. And I think what people don't understand when we talk about our culture and how rich and how powerful our culture and all of the things that we've created, invented, and came up with, I wouldn't be divisive against a people like that. First and foremost, Black Americans that came over on ships were part of the warrior class of Africa. We were warriors. Our ancestors were warriors. So that's why we are the way we are. That's why we're willing to fight and die for what we believe in. That's why. We are a different people. They took all the warriors in those different conflicts in Africa and they shipped them to Brazil and they shipped them to America mostly. And through that, we created different cultures. Excuse me, we created a different culture. See, I've been telling you guys for the past couple of days that the first airplane patent was passed to a black man before the Wright brothers. He was actually going to fly his airship, his airplane, I believe, at the Louisiana or Atlanta, some sort of show or a fair of sorts. It was a fair, but the plane never showed up. But his was passed before the Wright brothers patent was passed, and of course, these two entities had no contact. So when people talk about, oh, the only thing I did was make ice cream and potato chips, no. See, when people tell you that Black American culture is the problem, ask them what part. If they say your music is, okay, what part of the music? Because we made rock and roll. We made country. We made hip hop. We made R&B. We made the blues. I mean, the list goes, come on, we made funk. How you think disco started to happen? I want you to go back and research every claim I'm making. So what music are you talking about? It can't just be black music. It can't just be Black American music. So what music are you referring to? Okay, hip hop. Okay. Yep. Unfortunately, hip hop has, majority of, not all, majority of have turned somewhat degenerate. I can agree. If you just listen to the words or if you can hear the words. What about our art? What about Charles Bibbs? He's an artist, world-renowned artist, Charles Bibbs. What about him? What about our black doctors? And what about the black lady who came up, with a cure for cancer? What about the black man when Flint, Michigan's water crisis occurred? He came out with his machine that created water out of air. It took the moisture out of the air, filtered it through his innovative water making machine, and you can drink fresh water right out the air. What about that? What about innovations like that? Not even going back to the early, 18 and 1900s and all the great things that we created then. But that's just recently, family. So when people tell you that black culture is the problem, I really think is a good question to ask them, what part? And not to have them to generalize every single thing. Because again, we can play these narrative tropes, and I tend not to try to get into discourse, but I'm always up for a healthy debate, but not discourse where people start having to make personal attacks against you. Oh, well, hip hop is the problem. Okay, not all of hip hop, but yeah, a great deal of it. What about your Gothic music? All the people dying from opioids in the Gothic community. What about that? Oh, well, it's a small percentage. What about your headbanging music, where there's fights and people doing hard drugs? What about that? Oh, a small percentage. Yeah. So we can play this game, family. Don't just have people to feed you a bunch of bull that black people this and black people that and black people this. Let me tell you, I know a lot of black people. As you can tell, I'm pretty black, so I know about a lot of black people. I don't know all black people, but I can tell I know some pretty cool people. I know some pretty successful people. Cool and successful, man, what a mix. So again, That's my message for 2024, guys. Let's not be divisive. Let's kind of throw out these gender divide conversations, these religious and social beliefs conversation, and let's just focus on Black empowerment. However that be, if Black empowerment for you is staying on your grind and leaving everybody else the hell alone, then do that. Is Black empowerment for you going into business with another Black person and staying on the business and not bringing all the other mess that you may come with, leaving that at home, then do so. Let's just really focus on bettering ourselves, getting what's owed from this country. That's damn right, cash payments, reparations, and being a protected class just like the Asian American. And always speaking truth to power. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I believe there's a very productive conversation. You guys have a good one.